The Canadian political scene has taken a dramatic turn as tensions within Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party have exploded into the public eye, leaving his leadership hanging by a thread. The latest episode of dysfunction unfolded when Liberal MPs Chandra Arya and Sukh Dhaliwal engaged in a fiery confrontation that escalated to the point of threats of violence, an incident that has become a symbol of the party's unraveling. The altercation, which began in the House of Commons, spilled into the hallways, transforming the seat of Canadian democracy into a theatre of chaos and acrimony. It all started when Sukh Dhaliwal attempted to introduce a motion condemning the 1984 anti-Sikh riots in India as genocide. The proposal immediately sparked outrage from Chandra Arya, another Liberal MP, who interrupted and vehemently opposed the motion. What could have been a robust but civil exchange quickly devolved into an intense verbal altercation. As tempers flared, the confrontation moved beyond the chamber, with Dhaliwal reportedly threatening Arya in the hallway. "I'll F you up," Dhaliwal allegedly exclaimed, a chilling escalation that stunned onlookers and further highlighted the cracks in the party's unity. For Trudeau, this public spat is just the latest in a series of crises that have plagued his leadership. Over the past few months, internal dissent among Liberal MPs has grown impossible to ignore. With 24 of his own MPs now calling for a secret ballot to oust him as leader, the once polished politician is beginning to look like a captain losing control of his ship. Critics both within and outside the party have pointed to Trudeau's leadership style, focused more on optics and headlines than substantive governance, as the root cause of the discord. The incident between Arya and Dhaliwal is emblematic of the deeper fractures within the Liberal Party. Trudeau's inability to mediate disputes or maintain order has created an environment where MPs feel emboldened to lash out at each other, even in public. The party, which once prided itself on unity, now appears fractured, its members openly at odds over policy, leadership, and direction. This dysfunction is not just embarrassing, it's a glaring sign of a government on the verge of collapse. Adding fuel to the fire, Trudeau's recent holiday tax break initiative has been widely criticized as a hollow, last-minute attempt to curry favor with Canadians. The measure, which was intended to ease financial burdens during the holiday season, came too late to be effective, with most Canadians having already made their Christmas purchases by the time it was announced. Nate Erskine-Smith, a Liberal MP, didn't mince words, labeling the tax break a gimmick and criticizing its lack of real impact. "How about just a check?" he suggested, pointing out that the government's efforts to connect with struggling Canadians have been anything but genuine. This discontent isn't limited to individual policies. Trudeau's broader economic strategies have come under fire, with critics blaming his government's inflationary deficits for Canada's declining standard of living. Economic uncertainty, rising unemployment, and a cost-of-living crisis have left many Canadians disillusioned with his leadership. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's focus appears to remain on crafting photo opportunities rather than addressing systemic issues. Internally, the party's disarray is becoming increasingly difficult to contain. Divisions among MPs have reached a fever pitch, with public criticisms of Trudeau's leadership becoming more frequent and vocal. Some MPs have openly questioned his judgment, while others have privately expressed doubts about his ability to lead the party into the next election. Reports suggest that up to two-thirds of the Liberals who voted for Trudeau in the last election no longer want him to run again, a stunning indictment of his leadership. The dysfunction isn't just about policy or leadership style. It's about trust. Trudeau's past scandals, from the SNC-Lavalin affair to the We Charity debacle, have eroded his credibility both within his party and among the Canadian public. These controversies have painted a picture of a leader more interested in maintaining power than in governing ethically. For many Liberal MPs, this lack of integrity has become impossible to overlook, fostering an atmosphere of discontent and rebellion. As the party descends further into chaos, Trudeau's leadership looks increasingly unsalvageable. MPs who once staunchly supported him are now distancing themselves, their frustrations spilling into the open. The infighting has not only tarnished the party's image but also raised serious questions about its ability to govern effectively. For Canadians watching from the sidelines, the spectacle is both shocking and disheartening. With their elected representatives more focused on internal battles than on addressing the country's pressing issues, it's hard not to feel abandoned. The confrontation between Arya and Dhaliwal might have been the spark, but the tinderbox has been years in the making. Trudeau's leadership failures, his inability to inspire unity, his penchant for optics over substance, and his ethical missteps have all contributed to the Liberal Party's current state of disarray. As his government continues to falter, the question on everyone's mind is no longer if Trudeau's time as Prime Minister will end, but when. The cracks in his leadership are too wide to ignore, and for the Liberal Party, the road to recovery looks increasingly uncertain. The Liberal Party now faces an existential dilemma. Can it salvage its identity and regroup under new leadership, or is the damage inflicted by years of internal discord and public dissatisfaction too severe to overcome? Some party insiders suggest that a leadership change is the only viable solution, pointing to high-profile MPs like Chrystia Freeland or François-Philippe Champagne as potential successors to Trudeau. However, these alternatives come with their own set of challenges. Freeland, while experienced and internationally respected, carries the baggage of being closely associated with Trudeau's policies. Champagne, on the other hand, is seen as a fresh face but lacks the widespread recognition and support needed to rally the party. Even if the Liberals manage to replace Trudeau, the road to regaining public trust will be steep. Canadians are weary of political infighting and hollow promises. The cost of living crisis, healthcare system strains, and environmental concerns demand immediate and cohesive action, something the Liberals have struggled to deliver amid their internal turmoil. The opposition parties have not missed this opportunity to capitalize on Liberal missteps. Pierre Poilievre's Conservative Party has been relentless in framing the Liberals as out of touch with ordinary Canadians. Meanwhile, Jagmeet Singh's New Democratic Party continues to pressure Trudeau from the left, highlighting the Liberals' failure to implement meaningful progressive policies. The Liberal Party's descent into chaos is not just a crisis for Trudeau, it's a moment of reckoning for Canadian politics. If the Liberals can't present a united front and offer substantive solutions to the country's challenges, the next federal election could mark a seismic shift in Canada's political landscape.